Not looking much better for Manchester United right now as well, especially with another loss for them yesterday.
I see we're focusing on the positive.
Brighton. 6 points from their first 5 games, just the 2 wins, 3 losses in that time as well. And no biggie, but next up for them is Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena in the Champions League 2. I look at the papers with the response to that loss for them. What a shambles, bad to worse, crisis. What crisis? United falling apart. Ten Hag saying it's small margins. Wow, guys, what have you made of it all, Frank Leboeuf? Because it just seems to continue to get worse for Manchester United at the moment.
Yeah, but we all know that. We made a statement already last week, the week before. We know what we can expect, or especially cannot expect from Manchester United. Right now, they can't give a result because they don't have a defense, so defensively it's hard. It's a big shamble at front also. They don't really know how to play. In the dressing room, it's a problem. You have the Sancho problem, then you have the Anthony problem. And the thing is, on the contrary of Chelsea, I think we should talk about Brighton. Stop talking about Chelsea. Stop talking about Manchester United. We are, as Shaka said, mid-table team. Yeah, we all know that's big historical teams. But why don't we talk about Brighton? I saw a great team. I saw players who have a commitment, who have an involvement, who listen to their coach, who know exactly what to do. They're physically, tactically, technically very good. So why do, except their shirt that I don't like, I love everything about Brighton. And when I see the media and the newspaper, what you put on the newspapers, they all talk about the shamble of United. We don't care. We won't talk about the brightness of Brighton. Can we talk about that? Because Brighton is I think, right now, maybe the second or the third best team in the Premier League. And it's not it's not randomly. It's because they have an idea of what to do. And the players, they know how to put themselves into the game. Manchester United, they have the talent. But right now, Ten Hag is suffering with maybe egos of the players because of injuries, because of maybe bad decisions, because of maybe a bad leadership from himself in the dressing room. But it doesn't work. It will have to change something. It will have to make the players competing all together. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And they're going to be smashed by teams like Brighton 10 times by every time they're going to play against those teams.
No. But we go on.
Man like Leboeuf here is going crazy about what he's talking about here. He's really complaining that so many people are focusing on how terrible Manchester United are. Maybe it's because of maybe the click rate, or maybe we're trying to get something. But we saw something that was interesting in this game. We saw how good Brighton of a team are. We saw how much of a good manager De Zerbi is. Because the one thing that we were able to see, which people are not really talking about, which is very weird, we saw that De Zerbi was able to turn a Brighton, which doesn't have those glassy players, those exciting players, into one of the most dangerous teams in the world. Number 3 in the Premier League. I think that is really out calling, because City 1, Arsenal maybe 2. Who's 3? Who's 4? I think that you can't say Brighton yet. Maybe number 4. Maybe they're in the top 5 of some of the best teams in the Premier League. They're playing so well. I'm not taking away from Frank, because we saw what we call excitement. We saw what these teams are what is capable of doing. We saw something that this team are building towards, and we saw that they are working on creating something that will live for such a long time, and we'll talk about in times and times to come. They outclassed the Manchester United, which of course Erik ten Hag is dealing with the problems with the players. Anthony has to go deal with the problem that he is being accused of doing, and there are a lot of things that is happening. But let's face the facts. Brighton were so good. They had so many players that they were missing, almost close to 6, but you could not tell the difference in terms of the way they outclassed Manchester United. And that just tells you how much De Zerbi is a good manager and how much Brighton are a good team indeed. So yeah, we'll give them the praise that the Frank Leboeuf is asking for, because it was a good performance. It was a good game. So I don't know. Let's see.
Go on.
Well, producer, director, host, and pundit, Frank Leboeuf. He's coming up with the material. He's directing us as to what we're going to talk about,
Brighton.
when we're going to talk about. Let's talk about Brighton, apparently.
But okay, and I'm sure we will continue to talk about Brighton if this continues as we've been seeing this season from them as well. Always a joy to watch. But you mentioned it as well, Frank, and it goes back to your point, Jules. The reason that we talk about it even more aside from the size of the clubs is the fact that Chelsea and Manchester United have spent so big, and this is what we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to have enough of Erik ten Hag now, always finding excuses. After the Arsenal game, it was the referee and the VAR, and this was not. Now he comes up with this stupid line about small margin. There was no small margin on Saturday. It was a huge margin between Brighton and Manchester United. There was no small margin. And by the way, his game plan was pathetic. That diamond midfield was never going to work against a team like this. Far too intelligent with the manager, far too clever for Ten Hag saying, hey, you know what, let's put Scott McTominay. I mean, come on, of all people, on that right-hand side, the poor kid. I mean, I don't like Scott McTominay. I don't rate him, but he was completely lost in a team that was itself completely lost in that game. And against them, like Frank said, you've got this incredible team that can keep the ball under pressure so well, better than maybe even Manchester City. And the movement is so perfect and precise. Everything is just so good. And when they play against a team like really completely lost, like United were on Saturday, then you see the contrast is so big. And for me, Ten Hag should have raised his hand and said, listen, I got this completely wrong. The game plan was dire. To play Rashford and Hoyland like that up front didn't make any sense whatsoever, even if United started okay. And after that, they were just taught a lesson. It was a lesson of football. And the longer that Ten Hag is himself in denial by saying, no, we're not that far, actually. It's never our fault. It's the referee. It's this, it's that, it's small margin. The further they're going to fall behind, because he needs to wake up now. And so do the club and the players, because we said how bad Chelsea were. United are not much better at all, despite all that money, the 250 million they spent or something.
People have not really talked about it. Did Erik ten Hag did not know how the way Brighton plays? Was his first time playing with a Brighton team? I thought this guy has been now, it's almost his second year now in the Premier League. I thought now he's in his second year, he understood how some teams plays. Why was he playing a diamond midfield with a team that can put so many midfielders in there? We saw it last season with De Zerbi, and we're seeing it this time that he's able to turn some of his strikers into midfielders to just affect the movement of the flow of the game in the midfield. Something that I was surprised that Erik ten Hag did not really think about it. So if these guys at ESPN are coming out and said that they're getting tired of hearing the excuse of Erik ten Hag, one person should understand that it's not because they hate the guy, but that it's just because that's the fact of the matter. Anyone who's really listening to what this guy is saying should be getting tired as well. And we are seeing the facts here. We are seeing what is happening here. We are seeing the impact and the effect of what Erik ten Hag is doing to Manchester United. And these other teams that were being beaten by Brighton, Chelsea, and United, they have spent crazy more amount of money than even what Brighton could even say. I was laughing that the team that played with Manchester United, as they were being looked in terms of the money wise that was used, it was only £16 million, playing with the team that spent almost around £1 billion in Manchester United over some of the years. Some of the players, it's one of the most valuable team if you checked it. So we can't blame the players in this case. We just have to blame the manager because he's not getting the better of the team, like how De Zerbi is able to get the better of a team that costed 16 million. It's first of the matter. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Click the like button and subscribe to the content. What else do you want me to talk about in terms of reaction? Let me know in the comment section. Check out the live streams, people. We'll be doing more.